Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed? Not just a little stressed, but completely surrounded, like troubles closing in from every side. A financial hit you didn't see coming, a difficult diagnosis, a betrayal you never expected, a season where everything's to hit at once and nothing lets up. Bad things seem to come in bunches, which isn't fair. You'd think after one bad thing happens, you'd get a free pass on the other stuff. That because you're facing cancer, you wouldn't have to deal with your kid's problem at school. Or because you're dealing with a terrible situation at work, the officer doesn't give you a speeding ticket. Or because you're caring for your sick family, you get to avoid paying bills for a month. But life doesn't work that way. Trouble doesn't line up, it piles up. One thing going wrong doesn't make you feel overwhelmed. But when there's trouble on every side and things start stacking up, it's overwhelming. You feel boxed in, out of options, under attack, surrounded. Sometimes it's circumstances, too many at once. You can't see how you're going to make it. Other times it's people. People you trusted turn against you. You feel isolated and betrayed, under attack, surrounded, overwhelmed. Sometimes it's Satan, the enemy of your soul. Whichever way you turn, Satan seems to be attacking your church, your family, your job, your health. Our son Parker had 3 surgeries in his first 12 weeks of life. None of them life-threatening, but all of them expensive, and well, we were in between insurance coverage. The financial hole it created was a huge challenge. We were completely overwhelmed. It's overwhelming when you don't see a way out, when you don't know what to do, and you don't feel hope. Today, we're going to look at one of the most iconic, overwhelmed moments in all of Scripture. God's people were finally free from captivity in Egypt, only to find themselves trapped between an army and the Red Sea. What do you do when the enemy is behind you, the way forward is blocked, and fear is rising? The answer from Scripture might surprise you. It's a reminder that even though you're surrounded, you're not stuck. God still has a plan. We pick up the story right after God sent a series of plagues on Egypt because they wouldn't release the Israelites. Finally, Pharaoh, the Egyptian leader, let them go. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them on the road through the Philistine country, though that was shorter. God said if they faced war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. The Israelites had been captive for years. Now they're finally leaving Egypt, and God decided to send them the long way. God sent the Israelites on the route that was for their best. Wasn't the quickest, certainly wasn't what they would have chosen, but it was God's way. You think, well, I've been praying for years. I deserve deliverance. I've suffered long enough. Why won't something happen right now? You want everything quick. But the quickest way is not always God's way. God led the people around by the desert road toward the Red Sea. It's interesting, God's road to victory, to the promised land, not only was a long cut, it led through the wilderness, the desert. The road to freedom was long, hot, and difficult, but it was still God's road. Some of you have been taught that hard times mean you are out of God's will or you're not following His direction, but God still leads in the wilderness, and sometimes God leads to the wilderness. Then the Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp near Pi-hahiroth between Migdol and the sea. They are to encamp by the sea directly opposite Baal-zephon. Pharaoh will think the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert. I will harden Pharaoh's heart. He will pursue them. But I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know I am the Lord. The Egyptians should have already learned that lesson. After all the horror of the plagues, they should be firmly convinced God was the only true God. Apparently not. Look again. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, he'll pursue them. I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and his army, and all Egyptians will know I am the Lord. Pharaoh pursuing the Israelite was actually part of God's plan. God was orchestrating circumstances to demonstrate his power and convince the Egyptians that he was the one and only true God. When you're under attack, all you can think about is it being over as soon as possible. But God may have a different agenda. God can use an attack to demonstrate his power to you, but he also uses it to demonstrate his power to those who are watching. God gains glory through victories, and if there's not an attack, there can't be a victory. Do you remember these books? Choose Your Own Adventure books from when you were a kid. You read, and then it gives you an option, and if you take your robot to school, turn to page 62. If you press his laser button, turn to 64. And you get to create your own story. When you're going through tough times, you get to choose your own adventure. You get to choose how you will experience your difficulty. You can choose to focus on the problem itself, or you can focus on the ways God will be glorified through it. The Egyptians, all Pharaoh's horses and chariots, horsemen and troops, pursued the Israelites, overtook them as they camped by the sea near Pahahiroth, opposite Baal-zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified. The Israelites were marching across the desert, finally on their way to freedom. Suddenly they heard a sound. They turned around to see the most powerful army in the world chasing them. You'd be afraid too. On one side was the Red Sea. On the other side, a mighty powerful army. There was no way out and no hope. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. The Bible doesn't tell us exactly what they said. I imagine it was something like, help! When you're overwhelmed by circumstances, attacked by people or by Satan, your initial response is predictable. Fear. You're afraid because you don't know what will happen. You don't know if you can win. You look at the circumstances and they seem bigger than you, mostly because they are bigger than you. You look at the people against you and they seem stronger. Fear is a normal human reaction when you're surrounded and attacked. The Israelites were terrified and cried out to God. They should have stopped right there and prayed and kept praying until the fear was gone or they sensed peace and direction. Instead, human nature took over, and instead of prayer, they started complaining. They said to Moses, was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us out of the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in this desert. This is one of the most amazing examples of stupidity in the entire Bible. They said, what have you done? Bring us out of Egypt. And didn't we say, leave us alone here in Egypt? We're really enjoying life as slaves. They didn't say that. A few moments ago, they were excited. They were fired up about being led out of Egypt. Moses was the man. But now that the enemy was chasing, Moses is no longer a hero. He was the idiot who took them away from their wonderful life as slaves. If you're a leader, you identify. When trouble comes, people revise history in a hurry. All your great moments, wonderful leadership, big wins are forgotten. Now you're just a jerk. It happens. When you're overwhelmed and afraid, you attack others. Instead of staying on your knees in prayer, you find someone to attack. You take it out on your friends, you take it out on your family, take it out on the people you love the most. Sometimes you even do what the Israelites did, and you take it out on your leaders, because leaders are a convenient target. And it's easy to find another hurting person to join in your attack. I teach our team, when people are in attack mode, there's probably a reason. They're dealing with hurt, pain, guilt, or fear, and they don't know how to handle it correctly. John Townsend said it this way, hurting people hurt people. Look again what the Israelites said. Was it because there were no graves in Egypt? You brought us to the desert to die? What have you done? Bring us up out of Egypt. No. Moses didn't bring them out of Egypt. God rained frogs and locusts and hail, and the livestock died, and it was dark for 3 days. God brought them out of Egypt, not Moses. When you're under attack and overwhelmed, all too often you forget God's power. You focus on your fear, your enemy, or your impossible circumstances instead of focusing on the awesome power of the mighty God you serve. Moses looked at the Israelites and said, "You stupid morons. You're blaming me? Fine. You people deserve to die in the desert or be slaves the rest of your life. I'm done with you. I'm out of here." That's not what he said. Instead, Moses answered the people, "Don't be afraid. Stand firm, and you'll see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Some of you need to hear that today. The Lord will fight for you. You need only be still. Maybe you need to push back from the keyboard and quit posting. Maybe you need to shut your mouth. Maybe you need to quit trying to handle everything on your own and you're racing around trying to figure it out. You're trying to fight the enemy. You're trying to handle it. The Lord will fight for you. You need only be still. You can fight and God will be still, or you can be still and God will fight for you. So, practically, which of those options do you prefer? Moses didn't fight back, didn't respond to ridiculous accusations. One of my favorite methods for identifying leaders, I look at a conflict and I look at the attitude and the spirit of the people involved. Whoever acts like a Christian, whoever's trying to resolve conflict biblically, that's probably who is the Christian, who's in the right, the leader. You just watch. Who's trying to build up, who's trying to tear down. Who is redemptive in their words and actions, who is destructive in their words and actions. Works every time. An issue recently, I read what one side wrote. It was vicious, full of anger, bitterness, and hate, and invited other people to join in the anger, bitterness, and hate, recruiting other people to be angry. And someone asked me, "Well, don't you want to hear the other side?" I said, "Well, I don't need to. I already know who's in the wrong. I don't need to hear it." I saw the spirit of that guy. His purpose is to hurt others. So I know which side is right. The principle is attacks reveal God's leaders. It's a good way to evaluate your leadership. How do you respond when things don't go your way? Do you complain and quit? Do you attack others and find bad things to say about them? Or do you respond with faith? Do you resolve conflict biblically? Do you demonstrate the character of Jesus? The spiritually mature respond differently. They don't attack or try to cause pain. Moses was faith-filled. He said, "Don't be afraid, stand firm, and you'll see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." Moses was encouraging. The Egyptians you see today, you'll never see again. Moses reminded the Israelites God was on their side and would fight the battle for them. The Lord will fight for you. You need only be still. Moses made his speech, and then God responded. I love God's response. If you feel overwhelmed, if circumstances are stacked against you, if you're under attack, if people are lining up against you and accusing, if Satan has targeted you, you're going to love this. Look at God's response. Verse 15. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me?" What's this? What? There was an army behind them, the Red Sea in front of them, no way out, and God's response was, is there a problem? What's up? Why are you all yelling for help? It kind of reminds me of the story when Jesus was sleeping in the boat when the disciples were in a storm. You remember that story? Jesus was sleeping, and they woke him up because they were terrified, and Jesus said, Why are you so afraid? Well, God is not uncaring or unfeeling. That's not what this is about. Instead, here's the truth revealed. God is not intimidated by your circumstances, your attackers, or your enemy. God looks at them. He yawns really big. And he says, what attack? Oh, that. I'm so sorry. That's nothing. You say, well, that seems unfeeling. Good. Shouldn't God be more concerned about my attack? Let me just ask you, do you want God to freak out when you're under attack? Do you want all heaven to be like, oh no, look what's happening in Little Rock? Anybody got an idea? Anybody figure out what to do? Guess we can't figure that out. No, you want a God. It's kind of like you want to go to a doctor who looks at your condition and says, oh yeah, I've dealt with like 10,000 of those in my career. You don't want a doctor that's like, nurse, you got to see this. You just don't want that. You don't want a God who freaks out about your attack. God said, that? Okay, what attack? Then he said, tell the Israelites to move on. Move on. Keep going. I told you which route to take. I'm directing you. Ignore the Egyptians. Keep going. The Israelites were traveling with all their family and possessions. Little kid and livestock were running around. God knew they were no match for the army pursuing them, but he never intended that battle for them. He intended it for him. And God would say to you today, keep trusting me. Keep believing. Don't give up. Don't quit. Don't stop now. You've come way too far to give up now. I know the opposition looks tough, but let me take care of it. Keep going. Keep moving forward. Robert Schuller wrote a book years ago. The title of it was, Tough Times Never Last, but Tough People Do. When circumstances seem to be overwhelming, people are against you, Satan is attacking, keep going. Follow the last word you heard from God. Obey. People say, well, I'm going through things. I need to step out of ministry. Or, sorry, I haven't been in church. It's been a tough time. Well, don't quit now. That's when you need to be in ministry. That's when you need to go to church. That's when you need to pay your tithe. When you're going through hard times, the temptation is to focus just on yourself and your problems. But continuing to be part of your church family reminds you that, first of all, everyone has hard times. When you are suffering, others have suffered too. What's more, you enjoy the love and power of encouragement of people who will fight for you when you can't fight for yourself. When times get tough, keep going. Galatians 6:9, one of my life verses, let us not become weary in doing good. For at the proper time, God's time, we will reap a harvest if we don't give up. You can respond that way because God is still God. God said, oh, what attack? Oh, that? Yeah, keep going. Then look what God said next. Raise your staff, stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so they'll go in after them. And I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all his army, through his chariots and horsemen. The Egyptians will know I'm the Lord when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. The Israelites didn't see any option for victory or escape. They thought they were stuck. Army on one side, Red Sea on the other. God had another idea. God, who after all created the water, told Moses, stretch out your hand. I'll make a way through. God said, what attack? Keep going. Then God said, check this out. I've still got a plan. And my plan is so amazing, no one will say you got lucky. I will make it obvious that I'm God, and I will deliver you. Hey, Moses, hey, Israelites, watch this. Watch this. You feel like there's no way out. You feel overwhelmed, under attack, surrounded, and out of options. God says, I've got an answer for the doctors. I created your body. Watch this. Watch what I'm about to do. I've got an answer for your marriage. I designed marriage. Watch this. Watch the miracle that's coming. I've got an answer for your children. I gave you those children, and I'll bring them back to you. Watch this. You don't have an answer financially. Watch this, because nothing's too difficult for me. I am bigger than the people who are attacking and accusing you. I've got a plan for them, and I've got a plan for you. Watch this. Watch what's about to happen. I've already defeated Satan. His power is no match. Watch this. I will provide a way out. God would say to you today, you may think you're surrounded, but there is no such thing as surrounded with God, because I am God and I surround everything. Those enemies that think they have you surrounded, I'm surrounding them. You feel overwhelmed, I'm about to turn it around. Watch this. That's God's history. That's the way God works. God takes the impossible and makes it possible. When it feels like there's no way out, that is the very best opportunity for God to gain glory. So broke, alone, forgotten, sick, enemy behind, Red Sea in front, overwhelmed and out of options, surrounded, over and over throughout his word. God looks at the enemy and he says, what attack? Oh, that's what you're worried about? That? Yeah, keep going. Don't quit. Keep going. And watch this. You're not alone, because the God of this whole world is on your side. Watch. Watch. If you're in a situation where you feel overwhelmed and surrounded, I want you to stand. We're going to pray. I've left time today, so we have time for prayer. If that's you, stand up. All right? If you're standing, I want you to come stand across the front. Come on. If you're coming from the balcony, I'll wait for you. Come on. We're going to pray. Spread out a little, make room so everybody can get down here. All right, probably need to come forward a little more. There's people trying to get down the steps still. Good. Okay, look at me for a second. Listen to me. God is not intimidated by what you're going through. He's on your side. And he's got a plan for you, and he's got a plan for your enemies. We're going to pray for you. Our pastors and prayer pastors are coming. And you just stay where you're at, and we're going to work through the crowd and pray for you. There's a lot of you and less of us. But we're coming. So be patient. We're coming. We're going to pray for you, and we're going to ask God to deliver you from this attack. He's got a way out. He's got a way through. He's got a way for you. I want to ask everyone else to stand. And if there's someone down here you want to pray with, come on. Put your hand on their shoulder. Pray for them. We're going to pray together, and we're going to believe that God's going to deliver people from attacks. And then while we're praying, we're just going to quietly worship. We're going to be praying for the people that are down here. And then we are going to finish by celebrating the God who promised he'd be with us in every storm and every attack. Come on, let's pray for each other right now.